Hello and welcome to this Business Central video. Today I want to talk about what to expect from a Business Central project. So this is a new video series called Getting Started with Business Central, which follows on from a previous video series I did called Making the Most of Your Business Central trial. So the previous video series went through how to create a trial, how to start using Business Central, how to get your data into your trial to bring it all to life. And this one's going to nicely follow on from that, assuming that everything's gone swimmingly with the trial and now we've selected Business Central and we're going to embark on a project. So what can we expect from a Business Central trial? Now, this is from a typical Business Central a project. Things may change from project to project, but this is basically the core of what to expect. So there may be some complexities that makes it deviate ever so slightly. Terminology may be ever so slightly different, but this is what I'd consider the basis of how a Business Central project would run. And then at the end, we'll have a look at some considerations and some general some tips basically on how to make this project go as smoothly as possible. So let's have a look at what we've got. So usually you'll have been through, like I say, you'll have either done a trial, you've been through some pre-sales process, Business Central will have been demoed, maybe even showing you some really key features. But the first thing that will happen when you embark on the Business Central project is you'll enter something called a scoping or business analysis phase, discovery phase. And basically what this is you'll get together with some consultants from the partner who you've partnered up with to implement Business Central, and there'll be sessions arranged with your key users around things like finance, sales, purchase, warehousing, basically just to find out more about how your business operates and more about how we want Business Central to be implemented. So all this will then be collated together. There may be some process flows, for example, be created on your sales ordering process, your purchase ordering process, how your warehouse operates. And this is all to gather and see which features of Business Central are going to be used. This will all be put down onto a document, which will be signed off by both parties or agreed upon, basically about this is how the project is expected to go. It's also a really important document because if anybody drops in and drops out of the project, it's kind of a guide as well of what we expect the outcomes of the project to be. So after you move out of this phase, you'll then go into a build and configuration phase. Now in this phase, you can expect to get things like data templates where the consultants may request some of your data. They may request things like some of your templates, for example, your sales invoice layout, purchase invoice layout, all so they can be designed. And basically the Business Central environment will start to be built. So when with your data, it'll start to become a bit more alive because it's becoming more personalized to your business, starting to build your Business Central tenant up. After this phase, we'll then enter the training phase where the consultant will get together again. Separate sessions will be set up again for key users where you'll be trained on Business Central. But this will be targeted training, hopefully, because coming out of the scoping and business analysis phase, we'll know exactly what areas of Business Central you need to use, because Business Central is vast and it is a temptation to try and train on everything, which is not the right way to go. We want to do targeted training for exactly what you need to use so you can get the most out of the features you need to know, rather than trying to train on everything and having a very thin knowledge on lots of stuff. We want to really target the training in. Following that, they'll then enter a user acceptance testing phase. Well, you'll go away and start testing. Based on your knowledge from the training, you will start then testing Business Central. Obviously, questions will come up then, and there should be sessions wrapped around the testing where you come back and go, well, this entering, creating a new customer, for example, we found XYZ wrong with that, or doing the sales order process isn't quite going correctly. So then there'll be sessions wrapped around that where basically we try and iron out all of these problems. Now, there's one thing I haven't mentioned at the moment, and that is development. So what happens, development is a phase that kind of has lots of touch points, so it runs throughout the project. So Business Central is highly customizable, and it may have been identified even at pre-sales before the Business Central project, but certainly during scoping and business analysis, that you need to change how Business Central works for your specific business. So that's where development comes in. So with development, that runs throughout. And why does it run throughout? Because it has to be built, it has to be configured, it then has to be trained on, and it has to be tested. So the development phase will basically run throughout the project. Once user acceptance testing is signed off, you'll then go into this go live phase. That will be planned. Again, there'll be more templates sent out because we have to start getting things like opening balances into the system for your GL customers and any other module that you may be using. Any sales orders that are in flight, purchase orders, for example, all need to go into the system, ready for go live. And then when you go live, there'll be some hand holding from consultants to make sure everything's going really well. At that point, there'll probably some kind of process where it's then handed over to support. And at this point, we can consider that the Business Central project is complete, and hopefully it's been a really good success. So what are some of my general tips and considerations to think about on your journey in this Business Central project? So the first one I've noted down is don't try and do too much too soon. So there's a really big temptation when you embark on a new project. Everyone's really excited. Let's try and change everything. Let's try and get everything done, everything we've always wanted. Let's try and get it in. And that's great, but we want to try and, the best way to do this is to phase that as well. So really we want to get what's realistic going first. We want really good user adoption, so we don't want to change too much too soon. So that would be my first tip. The next tip would be involve the correct users, so involve the end users. Sometimes at the beginning, the discovery phases, some of the key users aren't involved, and it's not on purpose. It's just overlooked accidentally. But those people that are going to be using the system quite a lot sometimes are left out, and decisions are made without them. And then you enter something like the user acceptance testing phase, and things aren't working. They'll then definitely get involved because they have to test to see how things work, and you'll start finding problems. Now, it's great that we found that user acceptance testing phase because we're not going to go live yet, so we can change things. But really, to make it go smoothly, let's get those users involved from the very, very beginning. The next point I've got is wherever possible, use out-of-the-box functionality. So basically I've put there, adapt your processes, not Business Central, wherever possible. It's not always possible. Quite a lot of Business Central projects involve development, but don't develop for developing's sake. Development comes with what's called like technical debt, if you like. So if you start developing Business Central so it changes beyond recognition, then you may be tied to a certain partner who did that development. You may have one key user who knows that development. Really, we want to keep the product as vanilla as possible, if you like. That's not to say development shouldn't be done, because it has a very important place in some projects, but let's try and adapt where we can to fit in, because that goes on to my next point, is Business Central is by definition developing itself. Microsoft giving us a ton of new features all the time. The product is getting better and better. So something that you want today and could be tempted to develop for could be there tomorrow, could be there next week in the next release. There's been some very good examples that I can think of where that's happened as well. The other thing is, don't try and recreate everything from an old system. So we really, at this point, because we're embarking on some new software, we really want to start looking at how we can change, how we can improve, how we can do things better. Why, people may say, well, we've always done it this way, and that's a way to question, well, why have we always done it this way? Maybe there's a better way with Business Central. So that's another tip, and I'm sure there's lots more, but I've just thought of those to put down. So that's basically my general considerations. This is the first in a video series. I'm hoping to put together some more on things like what you might expect from some data packs that you might be sent, what you can expect from, say, some opening balances and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Thanks.